Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. Welcome to Malibu Beach. Let's take some photos together. All right, so I'm back after my day 2 of the workshop. The photo I'm going to show you are from the workshop itself and from another shoot that I did at Malibu Beach in Malibu. But it's very close to the El Matador Beach where we have been. I just want to show you like the what I consider like the good composition, the bad composition, and how I retouch it so you get the full behind the scene. So let's start off with the Leo DiCaprio shot. When I got there, I'm always looking for like a cool foreground element, and I saw these rocks. I thought they may be interesting, but the problem is that the sun was really setting here on the right, and interesting rocks. But if you don't get the good light, it doesn't matter. So I turned toward the good light, and that's what the good light looks like. The problem is when you start shooting with the sun, in your camera, it's gonna overpower the photo completely. As you can see, it's really just I tried different zooming out, different framing, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna wait for the sun to be peaking, because when the sun starts peaking like here, you see, when it's kind of below, you get a bit of the sun, but it doesn't overpower the photo. So this one, I'm gonna give it a 1. I actually already gave it a 1 because I think it has potential. When I give a 1 to a photo, it means maybe it's gonna get me somewhere. And I have it in HDR in case I need it. So I have the normal exposure, I have the underexposure, and I have the overexposure. In case what I do in Lightroom is not good enough, I can always use that if I need to. The other one that I selected was the same view, but like I took the underexposed photo and I gave it a 1. We'll see what happens. And I'm just going through, then the sun got like really under, you couldn't hardly see it. And so the light was not, as good. I prefer when the sun is like right when it's peaking like this, you get that little, the starburst effect. That's the word I was looking for. Okay. This is not so bad, a starburst effect. So what I did is if you get up, I was going low. I was getting a starburst effect again. So this one I'm giving it a 1, of course. And then I went back to looking at my rocks there, and it didn't work because the light was not great. The light was not great. So this one, I'm not even gonna give it a 1. And then I noticed that there was I don't know if you can see here, like there's a hole there. So I walked toward the hole and I'm like, oh, that could be cool. So that's the first photo that I got. And I actually went further until I could get the sun. And this is what it looked like. So the sun was just peeking and we had this sort of natural frame in the frame. And I ended up selecting this photo, and this photo, which is like an HDR. And this one I probably will do in HDR because there's so much dynamic range. If I want to get some of the details from the overexposed photo, if I want to get like all the cool, sky from the underexposed photo, that could be interesting. So I selected the 3 and same idea. And then I went through that sort of like hole in the rock and found this private beach. And again, I had the sun peeking. So again, I took a selection of that. And then the night came really fast. And, I don't know why I picked this. And I tried different framing, really deep at night and some long exposures. But I didn't like it. It didn't feel like, this is some of the tests that I've done. It's kind of okay. We had this rock with so long exposure, but I don't know. I don't like the light. I don't think it's as cool. I ended up actually not selecting any of this, none of this. Okay, then the next couple of days, I'm back at El Matador Beach, which is like basically a couple of miles away. And look at this. And it was low tide. The thing that's amazing about low tide is you get, this amazing reflection because it's there's a lot more sand being wet. And, I wanted to get this reflection, so I'm definitely selecting this one. I'm giving it a 1. My dog was there, so he always gets into the shots, which I think is really cool because sometimes it turns out really well. Like, for example, this shot I kind of like, but then my dog came in a way, and I think this one actually works better. So, I think I'm going to pick up this one. And then I found this cave because it was low tide that I've never seen in El Matador. And I love, shooting with natural frames. And, the light was pretty good, so I HDR'd it. But there was a lot of people coming, so I said, okay, I'll come back a bit later when it gets even darker. This is kind of okay, whatever. I mean, the sun was peaking. I'm crazy about when the sun is peaking. And so here is some more cave. And I think the one I ended up choosing, I just shot a lot of it, is this one, yeah. That's the photo, so I'm going to take this one. And that's what I do. I always go through my photos, and then it got really dark, really, really dark. What a place. If you get a chance to come to Los Angeles, check out El Matador Beach in California. You will not regret it. It's one of my favorite spots. And because of the tide, it looks different every time I go there, which is kind of cool. Yeah, it got really dark. So I don't even think I'm going to select any of these photos. I don't like when it gets too dark. Maybe this one will give it a shot. Okay, so now I can just go here, take a 1 star, and we can retouch the 1 star photo. Definitely not this one. Now, I'm going to be using my signature preset, and I'm going to give them all of them for free. All the one that I'm using in this video. It's called the Serge Natural Light. This is the pack. And I just updated the pack. So if you got it from the last video, you should update that pack. So now the pack has 2 things. It's got the Lightroom 6 version, which is the LR template. So if you've got a Lightroom 6, you're not a Creative Club member, you have an old version, it will work. And if you are a Lightroom CC or a Lightroom Classic user and a Creative Club member, I give you the XMP files. All you have to do to get your asset is click the link that's just below the video. And then you put in your email address. Then you put in first name, last name, and create a password. And boom, you are in. You have the preset of the brushes. You just can click on view. And then you can download the source files. Now, if you're already a member, you click on the same link. You put your email address and click sign up for free. And it's going to take you and just add it to your library. That's all you have to do. Once you have them, to install the preset, it's really easy. You just go clear to preset, import preset, select the preset. So if you're not a Creative Club member, use the Lightroom 6 version, the LR templates. If you are a Creative Club member, you can use the XMP file, which is way better. It will also work in Lightroom CC. So now, if you put it in Lightroom CC, these presets will be on your phone, on Lightroom Mobile, on your iPad, everywhere. And I cannot tell you the work it took me to do these presets. So, for example, let's retouch this photo. So I'm going to go into my Serge Natural Light Preset Pack, which is the one I just gave you. And on this one, I'm going to use the sunset version. Check this out. We see when you hover your mouse, you can see, and they were made, so of course if you take a night preset on the sunset preset, it's not going to work because these were made for different times of the day. So this was really like a sunset, so I can use a sunset, or I can use the golden hour, because golden hour is that 1 hour before sunset. In this case, I'm going to use a sunset preset, and right away, a lot of things is retouched, and I'm going to show you what it takes to do the same retouching without using a preset, so you can see how much time the preset is going to economize. So I'm basically done with this photo. Now let's say I wanted to retouch this photo in the same fashion. Okay, so just for people that hate presets and that wants to do it manually, I'm going to open up the shadows. I'm going to bring down the highlights. Not completely, because I don't want to burn the sun there. You never want to have a sun that is too definite, too where you can see its actual shape. You want to keep a glow, so don't bring down the highlights when the sun is in your shot. And then I'm going to do my white point, which is with the black slider. I want about 3%. My white point holding the Option key. I don't want to burn the sky. And usually when it comes to sunset, I go to shade, and I add a little bit of magenta. Okay, and then now I'm maybe adding a vibrance, a bit of contrast. What I also do is I go into the hue and I click here, which is the target tool. I click on the yellow here. If you go up, it goes green. If you go down, it gets a little bit orange. I like to do that. Then I go in saturation and I add some saturation on the reds, on the orange, on the yellow, and and then I go to details. I know I shot this at 100 ISO, so usually I go sharpening around 90. I want something really sharp. I'm going to put 10 of noise reduction and about 50 of masking, okay? And then I go into remove chromatic aberration and unbound profile correction. So all of that can be done with one click. Just one click. Boom, sunset. And well, actually, it's not really true. Oh yeah, one thing I forgot is in the sunset preset, you also have local tools. Now, let me show you on a photo like this, which is not inverted. On this one, so I click sunset linear circle. One click, I have this retouching, and then I can just check my black point, so it's too much. You always have to check the black point, and then you have to check the white point. Okay, I'm gonna put the highlights back because the sun is in the shot, as I told you before. On this one, I'm going to take the circle here, and all my presets have this one pin for the circle. This is supposed to go over where the sun is. But you see, it's too much on the rocks. So I'm going to use the range mask here, go to luminance, and go a third into it. And you see what's going to happen is that whole glow is going to go behind the rocks now. Okay? And that's kind of cool. I'm going to add some contrast, and basically I'm done. So it is really much faster. Also, in the preset, you have gradients here on top. I'm actually lowering the sky here. I can do it even more. And same thing, I can use the luminance masking. That's a new option that didn't exist when I created my preset, where I can make that gradient go behind the rocks. Here again, I have a gradient that's included in the preset just to sort of close the photo. And you have to... So when you use a preset, you have to basically put the circle, make sure the gradients are like you are, but it does 80% of the job for you, which is kind of cool, And on this one, I got lots of noise here because that's why I shot it in HDR. So the real way I would do it is I will select all three photos. I would go right click, photo merge, HDR. All right, here we are. So auto align is very important. Deghost amount, I always go to high when there is water. And you can see here, show deghost overlay. Basically what deghosting means is that it's gonna analyze if there is movement between the three photos, which obviously there is because of the water. And usually it takes the underexposed photo, which is the sharpest out of all three, to determine that. So I'm just gonna click on merge. Final result, that's the HDR that we did. So what I can do is I can just take what we did so far. I can press Command Shift C, don't forget the Shift, copy, and I can copy the result on the photo so that I have the same retouching than a normal exposure. And you will see it did a horrible job. Let me show that to you. Because the deghosting effect you can see here, did something really horrible on the rocks because it took different exposure for this. So completely not usable. So then, okay, no choice. What I did is I went back and I redid the HDR, but this time I took deghosting to none, okay? And so that's the result. And now I'm gonna press Command-Shift-C again on the normal exposure and copy it there. And now you won't have the same issue. It's gonna be much cleaner. But then what I did, and I'm just telling you because that's the process I go through. Sometimes the HDR in Lightroom sometimes works really well and it helps, and sometimes it doesn't do a thing. So here is the photo where I didn't do it deghosting. It's an HDR, and I'm gonna press C to compare it to the normal exposure. So the 2-star is the HDR, and the right side, you know, right off the bat, like I don't even see the real difference. You know, and if I look at, and if I zoom in on some details, you know, I don't see the plus of the HDR. It doesn't bring anything to the table. Even in this spot here, I would say it's even more blurry. We get the birds, you know, we get a ghosting effect on the birds. So for this photo, the HDR did not work at all. Okay, let's give it a shot to another photo. So, but I like I like this one. I mean, I focused on this rock, so this kind of blurry and noisy. But, you know, for social media, I would never make a print out of it. You know, I was such on a rush. I probably would have, you know, a job having a better aperture because I shot this at 6.3. I should have shot, if I wanted everything to be sharp, I should have been at f13. But I was on a run. I didn't have time. You know, I'm just sharing this with you so you can see the mistakes that I do and the things that I get right. So now we have this HDR1. Let's give that a shot. So I'm gonna select all three. Go to Photo Merge, HDR, and let's see if we get some better luck on this one. This time I'm not gonna use deghosting, so I'm gonna click on Merge. And that's the merge version. Now on this one, I'm gonna use one of my presets to go faster. I'm gonna use the golden hour preset. And now it's time to correct the photo. So I'm gonna do my black point, which is way too much. You only want 2-3%. I'm going to bring down the white point. Now the shadows are too strong. When you have an HDR, sometimes you have to bring down the shadows. I don't want so much. I wanted to see some details here, but not so much. And same thing, the highlights, I've got to bring it down to make it more natural. And yeah, maybe just add a bit of contrast. And I think I'm liking this. So one thing I can do is I can press Command-Shift-C to copy this. And again, to find the normal exposure, which is this one, and press Command-V to compare the result and see if the HDR brought anything. And I have the feeling the HDR did not bring anything to the table. Let me see here. I'm going to give a 2-star on the HDR. So on the left side, I have the HDR. On the right side, I have the normal exposure. You know, I don't really see like a big difference. Let's zoom in at 100%. So I'm zooming in at 100%, and I don't see a difference in quality in the shadows. Yeah, maybe we get more highlights in the shadows, a little bit more, but it's like hardly noticeable. So, you know, I could go, and that would be another episode. I could, if I really wanted to give it a look, I could go into Aura HDR and give it a different look. But at the end of the day, I just rather have the bracketing. Now, I'm going to say something. The Sony A7R III, and you will see I'm going to give you the raw file. It's part of the download right below the video. The Sony A7R III is so powerful that I do less and less HDR. You know, when the sun is there, I do HDR in case, you know, I can, you know, use Aura HDR, or I can do what I do a lot is, use layers in Photoshop to just blend in some information, you know, if I've got an awesome shot. Okay, so let's carry on and let me show you some of the shots of the of El Matador Beach. So this one, golden hour, I'm definitely gonna go into the develop module in the golden hour. Let's use the golden hour preset. You will see one click and boom. I love these presets. I'm going to boost the highlights because whenever the sun is in the shot, I don't want the highlights to be too low because I don't want to have a definite sun. I don't know. I think it's nicer to have a glow. And I think this one I'm going to go 16:9 because and maybe have like 2/3 of water and just 1/3 of sky. I think it's a good composition trick. I would that's a good friend of mine that I would totally erase in a photo in Photoshop. Maybe add some contrast. El Matador, what a place. Okay. My dog, same thing. Golden hour, boom. Okay. lower the exposure a little bit. It's a little too much. So you know what? I'm going to take down the vibrance, take down the saturation. A preset is just a starting point. Same thing, I'm going to blow up the highlights. I don't want to see the sun too much. And same thing, I'm going to go 16:9 because I want to see my dog even better. His name is Caramel. He is a star. He's my star. Okay. And he's pretty sharp. Cool shot of my dog. I'm happy. Okay, let's give it a 2-star. Oh, I forgot. When the photo I really like, I give it a 2-star. So this one I really like, I give it a 2-star. This one, yeah, I give it a 2-star. Okay, and then we come to the cave. No, we have this one, which is another one. This one is kind of more boring to me because there's nothing happening. This one at least has my dog. This one has more interesting, rocks. Yeah, this one is like whatever. I mean, because I've got a preset, I could just click on the golden hour preset, and look at it. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad. Just make sure you boost the highlights, and then let's go 16:9. But definitely not my favorite photo of that day. I wanted to cut out these rocks because I think they kind of ruin the shots and maybe get the horizon straight, if I can speak English. And voila. Not bad, but it's like there's no real message in this photo. It's like, yeah, whatever. Maybe I'm going to make it a tad darker. This one I find interesting because, and this one I think I'm going to use my sunset preset, not the golden hour. I really want to make it crazy. So check this out. Bam! One click, my friends. One click. You got to try it, my preset. I've had so many people, saying, I don't like preset. Preset is cheating. Preset is not good. And then they try my preset. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. It's good. It's just because it helps you to go faster. I would totally erase him in Photoshop, but look at this photo. Kind of cool shot, just one-click preset. A lot of people ask me, like, how much time do you spend retouching your photos? Truth is, probably on average of, 5 seconds per photo. Because with this technique of preset, it just goes so much faster, And this one was, like, really dark at night. So... I'm not sure I'm going to like this one. But again, I'm going to go 16:9. My favorite cropping. The gallery I work with, Yellow Corner, I give them all the time 16:9. It's kind of like my thing to go to. Okay, why not? I mean, it's not so bad. So I'll give it a 2-star. I'll give it a 2-star. So that was the good, that was the bad, and that was the ugly. Some of these raw files, I'm giving you the presets. Give it a shot. Try it on your photo. And I hope this helps you find a better composition. I hope it helps you, see what's, good or bad photo. I take a lot of bad photos and only a few gets elected. But I think my favorite out of all this series is probably this one because of the rock, this one because of my dog. I really like this one because of the frame in the frame with the rock. And yeah, that's about it. Like this is for me, it's kind of boring. This is boring to me. Also, even this one for me is kind of boring. I mean, it's kind of cool because a bit of this rock there, but I totally messed up because I didn't, I was at f6.5 when I have something close to my photo. Don't forget to like this video if you do like it. It really helps me produce all this free content. I'm doing 2 videos per week, every Tuesday at 9 a.m., every Friday at 9 a.m. Los Angeles time. Subscribe, click the notification so you get a notification every time I make a new video. This is my challenge for 2019. 2 videos per week, guys. It's crazy. Please like this video. It's going to help me make some more. Thank you so much, and I will see you in another episode.